In my past couple of videos, we've been talking about why leptin's important, how it shows up in the body, and what it does. So if you haven't seen those yet, I recommend you go check those out before watching this one, because in today's video, we are going to be getting more into the how-to. So this is the general rules of the game to improve your leptin in your body. And again, quick overview here is that leptin is hugely important for your metabolism, your healing, and your body's ability to know how much energy it has and to create energy for itself. So if you've been struggling with weight loss, if you've been struggling with brain fog, if you've been struggling with chronic pain, you don't feel like your body heals well, you're waking up and you're feeling tired, these are all signs that your leptin could be off, and for a lot of people they are. So let's dig into what do you actually do to improve it. So first rule of the game, no snacks. So I know this is kind of counterculture to a lot of different ideas. So a lot of different opinions out there for how and when you should eat. And this doesn't constitute my medical advice for you personally or anything, but everyone's been talked about of like, oh, if you eat a lot, then your blood sugar will be stable. But in the process, a lot of people haven't understood how that's affecting our leptin. Because again, every time you eat, so anytime you have calories or drink something sweet, or if your body's perceiving that it's ingesting energy, so basically anything besides water, then cortisol and insulin are both released. Cortisol and insulin both interfere with proper leptin docking in the brain. So if you're constantly eating, and some people are up to 6, 7, 8 times a day between their snacks and drinks and all that, your leptin's really confused, which means your brain's really confused about how much energy is available in the body. And it is a self-perpetuating cycle, because then you feel like you have less energy. It feels good to eat like a sugary snack or give yourself little energy hits throughout the day. But a lot of times these people get to a point, or you may have felt this for yourself, where it's like, I always feel tired. I never really feel hungry. And it feels like it crashes after a while. So by not eating snacks, it gives your body time to go through its full cycle of releasing the insulin and cortisol and calming that back down before you eat again. So ideally, you're getting 5 to 6 hours in between your meals or whenever you're eating. 4 hours on the very short end, but ideally 5 to 6 hours. Second pro tip for leptin is if you can eat one meal outside. So leptin is also tied into a lot of our brain chemistry, which is very tied into our circadian rhythm, which is dependent on getting good external light cues. So if you can eat outside, it really helps with getting those external light cues. It puts your body and brain in good rhythm for its hormone production, and leptin goes along for the ride with that, to making sure you're getting good leptin release. Along with that same idea, blocking blue light. So blue light from our devices, especially before the sun comes up or after the sun goes down, it messes with our brain chemistry, because again, we are very much tied into this natural circadian rhythm that is 100% based around the sunlight that comes out naturally. So when we're looking at these really intense blue light from our electronic devices in a time where the sun isn't usually shining, it tricks our brain and our hormones into thinking, oh, it's the middle of the day. And one of the things that comes up in the middle of the day, cortisol release is at our absolute highest. So if it's right before bedtime, we got our TV on, we got our phone right in front of our face, we're being inundated with all this blue light. Brain says, oh, time to kick up cortisol. Leptin's getting completely pushed to the side. Brain says, I have no idea how much energy I have. And again, that whole cycle can really continue of starting to feel more tired, feeling like you want to look at the screens more to get that dopamine and cortisol hit. And again, a lot of us get into this point where it's like, I always feel tired. I feel really tied to my device. I don't know why. There's a lot of brain chemistry involved. So big takeaways are eating at the right times are very important. So spacing out those meals, which usually means if you can eat within 30 minutes of waking up, that sets a good rhythm for the day, and then allows you to have that spacing between meals. At some times of the year, this can be challenging, particularly in the winter, particularly in the more northern climates, or if there's not a whole lot of sunlight available, it can be really challenging. And in some cases, there's literally not enough hours in the day to space out 3 meals with 5 to 6 hours in between. So a couple options here. Once you get into a better rhythm with leptin, like I would have even considered this a year ago, but eating twice a day is a good option oftentimes when there is not as much sunlight available. Again, I wouldn't have even considered that a year or so ago. It is amazing how your body can change. And I used to be one of those people where it was like, I felt like I had to eat like every 2 hours just to kind of keep the hangriness away. So your body can change over time, and it might be something to play around with. It was one of the biggest changes that I made for my health personally. I felt so much better than winter when I stuck to the 2 meals instead of waiting until it was dark, eating a big meal at night, and then having my body try to digest all that and mess up my leptin right before I went to bed. Eating at consistent times of the day is important for your body as well. It can, again, all about the rhythm. Your body loves that rhythm. If it can know what to expect in terms of here's when food's coming in, that helps it stay in a good rhythm. Last final note, under-eating or fasting too often with the popularity of water fasts and intermittent fasting, this is something that can come up. Under-eating or fasting too often can also mess up your leptin. Your body gets more into that survival, fight or flight mode. That can increase cortisol and interfere with how leptin shows up. So just kind of a quick side note, that's not as common, but if you're someone who's fasting a lot and you're noticing these issues with brain fog or energy production, it may be something to consider and maybe something you want to look at eating with a little more frequency to make sure you're getting out of that cycle. All right, guys, so those are the best ways to get started for the how-to to improve your leptin. So if you are noticing any of those symptoms, this may be something to play around with. Again, for myself personally, this was one of the biggest changes I made for my health. And once I got my leptin under control, it is a master control hormone, so a lot of other things can fall in place when you get this right. Thanks, guys.